Have you heard about this personal and professional podcast?
Coaching in Session
with your host, Michael Rearden.
I actually have many blogs along with this type of concept that we're going to be talking about today. I've actually probably talked about it on Wednesday episodes also. Today, we're going to be looking at the no excuses aspect primarily. Every year, I typically come out with a New Year's resolution blog because we make New Year's resolutions. We say that we're going to make this year the best year. Next year is going to not be any different. Not saying that the year is going to be magically the same as last year. It's just that our effort is like we stop and we go. We push ourselves for a moment. We get this boost of motivation. And then all of a sudden, we kind of hit a wall, or we hit a plateau, or we find ourselves chained and shackled and anchored, and we don't move and we don't take action. Yet we have no excuse. Truly, there's no excuse if you want to reach something in life. And I've also been toying around with this idea of a true goal. You have a true goal in your life. Then you have goals. For example, you might want a big house. You want a fast car, $150,000 Jaguar, whatever it be, right? This can be a little goal. But who gave you that goal of wanting that car? Was it society or was it yourself? Truly, true goals now. Because the true goal for you could be family. It's one of my true goals, family. Like, I understand there's many things that divide myself and my family. But at the end of the day, we're family. Like the word family, it's like brother and sister, mom and dad, mother and father. They're powerful words. This is not something to be belittled. Your life should not be belittled. You should not belittle your days, but yet many people do. Many people walk and they wait for tomorrow. They wait for the right time, the right opportunity. We have to take action. There's no excuse for us not being where we want to be. Now, I understand it takes time, right? It takes time to get someplace. You can get someplace really slow, like walking, or you can get someplace very quickly, like flying a jet or whatever, right? Which is the difference? Which is better? It depends on the person. Because if you walk, you're going to get so much more than just hopping on a plane and all of a sudden you're where you need to be. The pain, the challenge, different types of temperatures and everything you're going to experience along the way is going to be so much more than a quick flight. But then at sometimes you do want to get to where you want to go very quickly, maybe because of other obligations, or maybe you weren't looking for the journey so much of experience every little nuance of life. When I lived in Connecticut, and I would go hiking all the time. When I moved to Texas, I went hiking a couple times, and I had an apartment early on by a preservation. It's a forest and it's preserved right in Austin, North Austin. And it was a beautiful walk. I would always go there in the morning with my dog and we would go walk. There was a lot of wildlife. I'm talking about, I think, the coyotes. They had skunks and stuff like that. So you had to be careful when you went late in the evening because you don't want to get sprayed by a skunk or whatever. It was untouched. It was enjoyable. Now, of course, there was a concrete trail in between it to help you walk, and you can go running or you can ride a bike or whatever it was. It was a wonderful place to hike. And every time I went into the forest, I went on the unbeaten trail. I got lost. Even though all my years in Connecticut hiking, and I'm talking about I went off the beaten trail in Connecticut with like no map, and it was crazy. But I always found my way. But yet here in Texas, it's like this forest is like in the middle of a city. So when I end up somewhere, it's like I can't connect the dots and I'm ending up in the city. So I have to basically walk the city streets to get back to my apartment or my house. And I always said, like, why is this so confusing? Why can't it just be like the regular forest? And it's like almost like it makes sense. Well, there's a disconnect in what the forest is trying to do or say, right? Because a forest is just a section versus in Connecticut, we have large forests, right? And things can be connected. And I say this because in our life, we can have an area where we're trying to preserve it. We're trying to say, this is going to be the best area of my life. It could be anything. It could be your career, your relationships, your self-identity, whatever, right? You're trying to preserve this thing. And yet there's everything else getting in the way from your true path, from truly being connected. What is your true goal? It's a concept that many people don't necessarily realize because most people are always going after a goal. And a goal is just a blanket saying or definition of you're going after something you desire. But there is a difference between your true goal and then the artificial goals. There was a goal where I wanted to go hiking all the time, right? Then came to Texas and I went hiking and it was cool. It was nice, but it was different. So I was like, okay, well, let me figure out something else that I wanted to do. And that was when I went on my search for meaning. 2017 was a search for meaning for me, where I read, I can't tell you how many books, probably like close to 50 books that year. I was trying to find meaning in my life. It was not easy. There was a lot of uncertainty there. But what I can tell you is that I identified my true goals. One of the things I do with younger men and women who come working with me, so we're looking at 18 to 22, and then actually we can go all the way up to 28, to be honest. They're just sections I typically recommend any young adult get coaching or find a mentor. It doesn't matter who you are. From 18 to 22, typically, you want to get a mentor. And I'm talking about every month you're going to see your mentor. It doesn't have to be every single week, but it has to be at least every single month. Then when you turn 25, this can be flexible. From 25 to 28, you need to go see your mentor again in a 9-month span. If you do not see your mentor within that 9-month span, you're going to find yourself in your 30s kind of playing a catch-up game. One of the things that my financial advisor, when I was 18 years old, when I went into his office for the first time, I said, yeah, I want to, invest. And I didn't know anything about investing. And it was just like something I thought I know I needed to do because I was in, business finance and accounting. So I'm already in that world. And the guy was like, well, you want to have different sections, right? So you want to have like high risk, low risk, etc. There's different sectors, technology, health, whatever it be, right? And I was like, whoa, this is a lot of sectors. And this is right before the 2008, 2009 housing crash and stocks. So, everything went bad, right? And I remember telling him, I was like, I want to invest, but there's so much uncertainty right now. And I just don't want to put in money and then lose my money. He goes, I wish I was 18 when I started investing. And I was like, okay. He's like, it's not going to matter if you start now and you lose all of your money, or if you start now and you gain from the start and from the jump, because you have already started a good habit, a process that's going to help you in life later on. The compound interest is going to take over. And so, sure enough, I put in, I think only like $5,000 at the time. I was 18. I didn't have a lot of money. So I put in like $5,000 into some index funds. Sure enough, 2008, 2009 happened and I lost half my money. And I was like, whoa, I lost half, my $5,000 that I've been working for. And I think I worked probably like, how long it took me like a month or two to make it, because I was working, in business and stuff. So you make quite a bit of money and I didn't have a lot of bills. So I just had to pay my car note, like my car insurance, and then of course going out with friends, girlfriends, whatever at the time. So there wasn't a lot of expenses. Today, there's a lot more expenses, right? You have a house, family, wife, whatever, right? There's a lot more expenses. But back then, things were simple. And so I was like, yeah, sure. I lost half my money, whatever, right? That's when you should keep on investing. You shouldn't say, whoa, I just lost half my money. I'm not going to invest. That sucks. It's about risk tolerance. How much risk are you willing to put yourself in? Are you going to put yourself out there to try new things? Or are you going to be someone who tries to play it safe, be the common denominator, just be like everyone else, a regular Joe Schmo? There's nothing wrong with being Joe, right? Joe's a great guy. I'm sure he's a, kick at the party, hoot at the party. But what about life? Do you want to be a hoot at life? Do you want to win at life? Do you want to be someone who has exuberance in your step? Or do you want to have someone who's always looking down and stressed and anxious and trying to find a purpose? I don't know. I don't know you. Maybe I do. Maybe you're a client of mine, or maybe you have listened to some episodes and you've maybe been a guest. I don't know. But what I can say is there is a process that we must follow. We have to start. It is as simple as that. But sometimes starting might not be enough, because we can start all the time. I'm going to start going to the gym Monday. I'm going to start my diet on Monday. I'm going to start something right on Monday. I'm going to start looking for a new job. I'm going to start looking for a new relationship. We can start so many different things, but then at the same time, are we finishing them? Because there's no excuse. Something I do in almost everything I do. If I start something, no matter how painful it is, I do my best to finish. For example, I have a motivational video series, Motivation Emotion. I'm not sure if you heard about it. We are making our way up the seasons. It's a 24 episode season. We operate 3 times a year. So there's 3 seasons a year. And when I started Motivation Emotion, it was because I didn't want my face on the internet. Or it wasn't that I didn't want my face on the internet. It was that I was nervous, right? I was camera shy. I was like, oh, I'm camera shy. I don't want to go on the internet. Someone's going to look at me and say, whoa, this guy looks weird or something. And I mean, I don't look weird, but it was my mind playing tricks on me, right? That happens all the time, where we start and then we get this feeling like, wait, what am I doing? Like, this is not for me. What I'm putting out is not even good. I'm glad it's not good, because that is growth. Look back at where you were 10 years ago, maybe. Where were you? Were you in a better place? Were you in a good place? Would you be proud of the person that you are today? I hope, please. But some people are not. Some people are in a worse position than they were 10 years ago. And I understand inflation in the economy and this uncertainty that is happening. We just have to start. But many people are not even willing to do that. They just kind of throw in the towel. They say, oh, I'll wait for the right time again. Because 10 years ago was a better time. I know it's going to come around again. And you're right, it might come around again. But why waste all that time when you can grow in all that time? Think of it as like a potted plant. A potted plant, depending on what type of vase or container it's in, is going to grow to a certain height. This is very similar to how a shark, if you put a shark in a fish tank, it would never outgrow the fish tank, because it understands that if it outgrows the fish tank, it dies. In life, we are in that figurative fish tank. We are in that figurative container. And it's limiting us, in a sense, for our growth and our potential. Because if you were in a huge plant pot and you were this little plant, you would have a greater time, or an easier time perhaps, growing into, a big tree or prosperous floral bush or whatever, right? Or you have a lot of fruit or whatever. Versus if you were just always stuck in this very small container, you would stay a certain size and maybe you would try to bear some fruit, but it just, the soil doesn't have enough nutrients within it So you can't do it, even though you want to. You can't. Which is your environment? In Connecticut, there's nothing wrong with Connecticut. You know, I love Connecticut. I love the people there. But I felt that it was a smaller container than what I was needing because I wanted something grandiose. And it wasn't that I needed to be a celebrity or a public figure or want the world to, aspire to be me or to reach out to me. It wasn't that. It wasn't that big yet. And even today, like, it doesn't even matter if people know my name. But then when people hear Michael Rearden, they're like, oh, wait, that name sounds familiar. Well, it could sound familiar all it needs to be. But at the end of the day, the message and the mission is what truly matters. You just start, begin, find your goal, your true potential, your true goal. So when we get into our true goal, how do we identify what that is? Because in 2017, when I was reading all these books and I was getting all this, knowledge and gaining all of these ideas, I was like, what do I truly want to do? And even when I said, I want to start a business that is focused on personal and professional and self-help development, right? It was not something that I was like, easy, walk in the park. I know how I'm going to do this. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if you ever heard of the little saying of like the guy saying he's like a little baby bird and he doesn't know what he's doing. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Hey, dude, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, dude. Everybody's always like, wow, how do you do it? Wow, it's so good. How do you do it, dude? I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I have no clue. Zilch, nada, none, dude. I'm just winging it. Okay, I'm just winging it like a little baby bird, dude.
This is how people begin. They don't necessarily know all the time. One of the reasons why I say that a young mind needs a mentor and then later in life they need a coach is because they don't know what they want truly. They might have an idea, but they're oftentimes artificial goals. They try to walk in the footsteps of their friends, of their celebrities and public figures that they admire, be rappers, NBA, whatever, right? They're heroes. Maybe their parents, they want to aspire to be someone like them. So they're like, I have to fill those shoes, and it can be daunting. I understand that. Maybe you're just a person that just wants to be an artist. We can look at the generation, I think it's like Gen Z, how they became, some of the biggest Twitch streamers and content creators because they wanted to live a certain lifestyle different from their folk, their parents and stuff, right? They said, I want to be a big gamer. I want to go out and, be this big celebrity or podcast or whatever it be, right? And there's nothing wrong with having an aspiration like that. The meaning that you're trying to create, does it come before? Does it come during? Or does it come after? Because we can look at these individuals who are Instagram famous. I don't know if you've ever heard of that saying, but basically social media famous or TikTok famous, right? Social media famous. And these individuals, even though they have money, people admire them, some of them end their life too soon. And you might ask, well, they had everything. It was perfect, right? You have such a good start. But yet, if you live in artificial means, eventually you're going to demand something that's truly nutrient in your life or nutritious in your life. They were in that container that they gave themselves initially, but their dreams are a lot bigger. So when they were trying to grow and flourish and to do all those things that they truly wanted to do, they felt stuck. There was a captivation within them to enhance themselves and to do something more, but it was almost like a loop, and they were having a hard time getting out. Many of us continually stay in a loop, even if we might not do anything detrimental to our life. we do things that are detrimental to our success. It might not seem like you are the obstacle in your life because you are also the proponent that's supposed to be helping propel you to the person that you're supposed to become. It doesn't make sense why you are the person stopping yourself from greatness. It doesn't make sense why you do not just start. This is something that we have to get in the habit of beginning and finishing what we start. But we have to have meaning behind what we are starting. Because if we just start something because the world says, or we do it haphazardly, we're not going to finish. I know Ice Cube talked about this in an interview. And he basically was asked, like, what advice do you have for young people or entrepreneurs or business people, whatever the question truly was, but it was along those lines. It could be rapper, MBA, right? He says basically, if you don't want to be in this for 5 or 10 years and not get paid or not be appreciated or not willing to, go through the hardship, do not even start, because that's how long it could take. However, your hard work will pay off if you remain consistent. Going to the gym, right? You're losing some weight. It took you years maybe to gain all the weight that you put on your body. But guess what? If you're trying to lose this weight, it's going to take maybe years for you to lose that weight. We do it in a healthy way. There's going to be healthy ways in which we operate. We have to kind of go where we can go. We want to avoid burnout, and we want to maximize our potential and our success in what we do in our day. Because if we're just going to always say, you know what, I want this good thing in life. I have all of these goals. I have a list of 100 goals here. I want to accomplish them all. Well, let's focus on one, and let's make sure we don't stop until we finish and we accomplish that goal. The most important goal, an easy way for you to understand which goal you should be going after, your true goal, your initial goal, is create a large list of goals. It could be all the way up to 100. Ideally, let's get to 25 today. Write down 25 of your goals. And then from there, I want you to just kind of mark off the goals that are your top 10. Because maybe going to Italy is your top 25, but it might not be your top 10, because going to Italy might mean that you're financially free, that you have a good relationship, that maybe you have some investment properties. I mean, of course, right? We're looking at our goals now. Then we get down to our top 10, and then maybe we can go to the top 3 or top 5, depending on what you want. And then once we can narrow that down, then now we are in our true goals. The goals that are going to have the greatest impact on our life immediately. It could be losing weight, maybe, right? That's going to have the greatest impact on your life. It could be a career change that might have the greatest impact of your life right now. I don't know what it is for you, right? I don't know your goals unless I speak with you, but you know what you truly want in life. And I'm not just talking about you want the big house and the fast cars and things. Those are the artificial things. They're good goals to have, of course, right? We should have those aspirations in life, but that's definitely not your top 3. Those are not going to change your life. Having a fast car might give you some notoriety, but it's also going to either take away $150,000 of yours, or it's going to put you in $150,000 in debt. That's money that you can use investing in yourself and your personal growth, or you can use it to compound and make more money for yourself. Your money should be working for you, not the other way around. You should not be working for your money. And most people, they work every single week for a paycheck, but yet they don't want to work on themselves. We just have to start. As we, are looking at our potential once more, there is no cap, but yet we cap our potential. We're going to have these habitual patterns where things feel good, or we feel good, and we say, you know what, I want to do something today. I want to enhance my life today. And maybe you give yourself a little bit more that day. And maybe some days you're laying on the sofa on your phone, scrolling, and I call it death scrolling, and you just don't do anything. Do you look at those days and say, what's the point? Tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing? Or do you say, I didn't rise to the occasion today. I'm going to make some changes, some adjustments. I'm going to create systems in my life so I don't let this happen on a consistent basis. I want to be consistently moving toward my true goals, the goals that are going to be helping me get and make the greatest impact in my life immediately. It could be your top 3 or top 5 or top 10, whatever it be. What are those goals? Let's get those down on paper. And then let's develop a plan in order to get it. And if you're not someone who can keep yourself accountable, of course, reach out to us here at Reven Concepts. We'll be more than happy to help you along the way to, make sure that you are on track, that you're going after these goals, and that you don't stop until you get these goals. Because it's not always about just starting a goal and saying, I started 150 goals last year and you completed none. I would rather you start one goal and make sure that it's completed. That's going to create more meaning, more momentum, and it's going to have a magnitude effect that's going to amplify your whole entire life. So this is what we want. This is what we want to continue in doing. You have to give yourself that mindset that if you start, you don't stop.